Hello everyone, it's Brett here, Lionheart84, and welcome to my first Sunday of the month garden tour. It's actually the 6th of August. It feels like we're a long way from the start of the month, but obviously it's just the way the dates work out sometimes. And I've also been waiting for a break in the weather today. It was sunny this morning when I went for a Sunday walk, but then when I came back I just managed to cut the grass, which I've been waiting to do for weeks, for a dry Sunday, and then it poured with rain, so I had no chance to actually do the video. However, we can now, sun's come out, there are a couple of dark clouds in the sky, but I think we're going to do all right. So what I'm going to do is get round as quickly as I can, starting with a quick look at my Crimson Sunrise patio peach. Has now, well, I say recovered from the dieback it had from peach leaf curl. That's not quite true. There's actually several stems that have died completely on it, unfortunately, but it is bushing out quite nicely now. Carrying around very quickly my unknown kiwi berry, no fruits on it, covered in flowers this year. As you know, nothing's set because I haven't got a pollinator for it. Originally bought as an Issai, and it isn't an Issai, so I actually thought it was going to set some fruits this year, but because it appeared to be that some of them were swelling, but the whole lot dropped off within 2 or 3 days, so hadn't been pollinated. Quickly whizzing around the rest of the garden. I've got to do some potting up the plants here, repotting the stuff which I'm going to do later, so let's carry on anyway. Medlars doing quite well. I've had a couple drop off. They're not a bad size, just about 1 inch in diameter by now. I think they do better when it's not extremely hot. Blueberries being eaten by wasps and birds, but I've still got plenty on. There's a wasp in that one there, so I have to be careful when I pick some later, but I'm planning to pick some. Looking down underneath here, we've got my in-ground citrus, which is a Mars Lemon. Hasn't sent any more shoots out except for this single one shoot, which currently has stopped growing, but at least it's a strong shoot. The other half of the plant is definitely dead at the bottom, but one shoot's better than none, and it might eventually lead to a better recovery. My potted mulberry is virtually finished flowering now. It's got 1 or 2 fruits on it which are barely edible. Let's turn it round so it's facing the other way. I think you can see now plenty of blueberries on this plant, which is probably what's attracting the birds and the wasps, so I'll definitely have to pick some of those later if I want to get any at all. Next to it I've got my in-ground pineapple guava. This one is Mammoth, allegedly, starting to develop fruits quite nicely early in August. Some of these triple ones which are later flowered, not swelling yet, so they may not set, but there's a fair number of fruits that are swelling at the moment in various parts of the plant. There's another one there. This variety currently holds my personal record for the largest fruit I've produced. I think it was about 110 grams, but I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to check back my videos next year, so I'll obviously be hoping to get a fruit that size or larger this year. There's still plenty of embryo fruits which may or may not have set, and I'll do some thinning out of some of these later in the growing season, perhaps by the end of August, because on some of these where they're going to be too late or they're too weedy, it's not worth keeping them, and I might as well thin them out and get some better ones with what's left. Moving around very quickly, that's my in-ground persimmon. It's meant to be an Asian one. The leaves are quite glossy. Flowers, doesn't set fruit. I'm guessing it's a male only flowered one, although sometimes they start to develop female flowers when they become more established, so I haven't totally lost hope yet, but there is a possibility I could graft other varieties onto it at a later stage, but I have to cut it back hard because otherwise it's going to get out of control. Here is my unnamed seedling pineapple guava or feijoa. Doesn't normally produce very edible fruits, but interestingly, and they were very round and golf ball size, but strangely it seems to have set a few fruit this year, and at the moment they appear to be more elongated, so it'll be interesting to see if we actually get some slightly better quality fruits on this. It may be something to do with what plant the fruits get pollinated by. Look, there's more fruit set there, more potential fruit set here, so perhaps it's going to produce some decent fruits for me this year. Agipanthus are doing nicely. Didn't have many flowers this year because they were badly cut back by the frosts, unfortunately. Next to that particular Feijoa is my pomegranate in ground, which I featured in a short video the other day. It's got one fruit set on it for the first time ever, which is probably about 1.5 inches across by now. I'm hoping it's going to stay on, and I'm hoping it's going to continue developing. Now, these normally take 5 or 6 months, which takes us well into sort of November, December, and it'll be dormant by then and would have lost its leaves. So I suspect the fruit will stop growing by mid-October, so I'm hopeful if it stays on that it might get to about 3 inches and possibly be edible. It did have another fruit on it down here, which I mentioned in the video, that has since dropped off. No sign of any more flowers on it or any more flowers set, so it looks like I've only got that one fruit if it holds. My Caesalpinia behind there was badly cut back by the cold this winter, but that's now recovered nicely, but it hasn't flowered this year. That's the problem with them getting cut back so badly. Tucked away behind there, just about visible, is my sunflower pawpaw. Never really done very well. I think it's too overwhelmed by the other plants, but it's looking about the best it's ever done, so I guess I should be grateful for that. Next to the pomegranate here is my Triumph pineapple guava or Feijoa, which I cut back very hard this year because it was literally hanging all over the lawn. It was completely out of control. Now, because of that, I've had relatively few flowers on it. However, despite that, it has got some fruit set. I hope you can see that in the sunshine. Let's do it from the other way. I think it's probably got about maybe only half a dozen fruits on it, which is fine because I cut it back so hard. So the only plus side of that is it might mean I get some decent sized fruits. We'll have to wait and see. Next to that is my in-ground pawpaw, American pawpaw, unnamed seedling variety. We have put a graft on it, a friend did. The graft is here on this stem here, still alive. It hasn't done an awful lot, but it's alive, which is the main thing, and that variety was Allegheny, and it's still holding some fruits on it as well. There's some up there, a better bunch up there, so I'm really pleased. It's got about 7 or 8 fruits on it this year, and there is behind here somewhere, sure where it is now, there's another graft hidden away under here somewhere. The problem with how it's grown quite well this year is it means the graft's no longer visible. Where is that? Oh yes, here. So that's doing quite well, that graft. Both stems appear to have taken. That's from the grafted area there, and that variety is Shenandoah. So I'm quite pleased that's looking okay, and as I said, there are some more excuse me, there are some more pawpaw on here as well. I think in total it's got about 8 fruits on it, I would say. So quite pleased with how they've been progressing. Just hoping that the weather stays suitable for them to keep developing. My crenums have nearly finished flowering now, but they've put on a lovely display this year after the cold damage. Moving on round, this is a grafted fig that I grafted myself. It's got one Braber on it. It's a yellow Adriatic fig. It's got some damage on there, but possibly caused by an insect before I had a chance to bag it. But I'm hoping this is going to develop to ripeness, because this will be the only green or yellow one I've got. I'm just going to pause the video a second. Apologies for that runny nose. Carrying on round, I said the rain's been causing a problem. I've got sort of flooded areas underneath my garden shed, which is probably going to cause it to rot, so I've got to try and figure out a way of getting that drainage away. My Luma apiculata, which I featured in the video the other day, had hundreds of flowers on it, set no fruits whatsoever. It's got a few more flowers starting to appear around the back of it now, which I showed in the video the other day. Let's come around the other side, see if I can find them. Interestingly, I filmed them and now can't see them. That's just typical, isn't it? Oh, there's a couple of yeah, there's a few buds appearing here, so we'll see how that goes. As I said, I fear that this particular one might not be self-fertile, so we may never get fruits. My new in-ground kapow, which I put in place instead of the yuzu, is doing fine. My strawberry guava is also shooting back, and that's featured in a separate video as well. My in-ground Passiflora incarnata maypop is flowering profusely. No fruit set, doesn't seem to be self-fertile. Some of them are, this one obviously isn't, doesn't set any fruits, and I haven't yet found any local Passiflora caerulea that I can use for cross-pollination. But if I come across one, I'll obviously try and pollinate the flowers just to see if they set. But as you can see, there's large quantities of flowers opening now. Next to it, I've got my little in-grounds. I had a spare bacon avocado seedling. I popped it into the ground for a laugh. This is one that survived the winter in my summer house. Did get cut back by the cold, so there's not much chance of it surviving outside, but I thought it won't do any harm to try it and see. So moving around here, my Illinois ever-bearing mulberry is now finished fruiting. One fruit on it. Let's see if we can manage to walk through the back here. This is one of my, I believe, erroneously named persimmons. It's meant to be a hanafuyu. I don't believe the leaves or the plant or its habit look anything like a hanafuyu. I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't turn out to be another Nikita's gift, because it's got that sort of weedy, sickly leaf growth on it. It's even got one fruit on it over here, which, if it doesn't fall off when I touch this branch, is tiny. So just going to try and move that branch. It's got a tiny little fruit on it there, which is very, very small. It could be a Morris Burton as well, because it might be a pure American persimmon, but I'm sure it's not a hanafuyu. Behind it, I've got my Asian pear shinziki. Got a handful of fruits on it. They've been falling off prematurely and turning yellow before they fell off, and when I cut those ones open, they had maggots inside them. So I believe this the fruits on this have been spoilt by maggots, probably codling moths getting into them this year. I mean, I put the bags on them, but I think that's way too late, unfortunately, because I think that, look, that fruit's just fallen off. Now that fruit has fallen off because that is infested with maggots inside it. You can see it's got a hole in the bottom, and unfortunately they've spoilt my Asian pears this year, so I think in future you can see the little eggs in there probably, or the dirts that come out of the maggots. So we'll cut that open and have a look later, but that's definitely, these have definitely been ruined this year, and I think I'm going to have to bag them much earlier next year. My Hongli has recovered really nicely from its cutbacks, branched out nicely, got a good form to it. It's not growing anymore now, but that's not really a problem. The main thing is it's got a nice shape to it, it's looking healthy. Next to it I've got my Kumoy. No flowers on it this year. First one of my jujubes. One is Lee and one is Lang. No fruit set on them. It's too cold. They really need, well, they're also pot bound, which is, or rather they're not doing well in pots, but I think that, to be honest, these suffer from needing, from what I've read, they need temperatures over sort of 27 degrees 80 Fahrenheit to actually start setting fruits. I don't think the flowers set in low temperatures, so that's obviously going to be a bit of an issue in this country. But I also think that the plants are stunted from being in pots and would probably do much better and probably set fruits in the ground. Behind those I've got my Prima Pawpaw. It is holding about 3 or 4 reasonable sized fruits on it, so it looks like if the wind doesn't blow them off or they get attacked by animals, I should get a few just about edible pawpaw this year. Persimmons, I'm not going to go through them all in great detail, but I have got some fruit development on some of them. That one is Costata. It's got a nice oval shape to the fruit rather than the flat shape of some of the others. Still got some very small fruits on my Nikita's Gift. Still a very sickly looking plant. I just can't get this plant to look nice for whatever reason. When you look how healthy the Costata is next to it, I think it's going to have to come out the pot and be repotted next year and see what happens. The Muscat, on the other hand, is looking fine. Not a bad sized fruit on it. That's about 1.5 inches. I don't know what size Muscat get to. I'm not going to go over the persimmons in detail because it's like walking around a swamp here. I've got some main crop figs developing quite nicely on my Goutte d'Or. It is a fig that I believe will produce main crop figs for me here. They're not a bad size, but this size they're not going to be ready until probably early October, but it's got a lot of main crop figs on it. You can probably just about see some of my other persimmons behind, but I'm not going to go through the varieties in detail because there's too many. But suffice to say, I have got quite a few persimmons with fruits on this year that are still developing, so I'm really hoping that I will get some at least edible fruits to try. This is an unknown variety of red-skinned fig. It's got one Braber on it still. I have picked another one which I've made a video of, which I'll put out in the next day or two, a tasting on it, because it's one that I haven't done before. It's got main crop figs coming on it. I'm in some doubt as to whether or not they're at a size where they might make it to maturity, but we can only wait and see. Most of the other figs haven't got much on them. This one, I believe, is a brown turkey, and that's got 1, 2 Brabers on it, and I find brown turkeys are one of the later Braber producing crops here. They don't seem to produce their Brabers for me until mid-August, so we've still got those to come if I'm lucky and they hold on. Just looking to see if there's any more underneath. I don't think there are. That's a Che fruit behind there, Chinese mulberry. Looking around my feijoas or pineapple guavas, this one's flowered heavily but doesn't seem to have much in the way of fruit set on it for whatever reason. I have hand pollinated them, but some of them just don't seem to be very keen to set fruits. That one there, let me have a look at the variety for you. That's Coolidge, which interestingly I think is one of the ones that's meant to be self-fertile. Behind it is probably Apollo. Not too sure which one's which, because of course they'll all look exactly the same. Looking at my other figs here, this one is this one is a Black Madeira. Has got a small Braber on there and a small Braber there, which is turning colour, but I don't know if it's going to be edible yet, but we'll see in the next few days if it softens up and is ready for eating. This pineapple guava is Marion, and I believe it's a little bit early days yet, but there does seem to be some swelling behind some of the fruit, so I think could get to taste Marion for the first time, which will probably taste just like all the other pineapple guavas, because I never detect much difference between them. So I'm just going to squeeze around the back here in a minute. This is my Lotus persimmon. Got some fruits on it. Very small, of course, the Lotus. Behind it is my flat donut nectarine, which is another one that's recovered quite well from peach leaf curl. I'm going to sneak round the back here if I can. Lovely flowers on one of my ornamental plants. It's got lovely strong new growth on it since I repotted it. Let's head round the back. Just quickly going to show you my chocolate vine. That's got quite a few fruits developing on it, and they're not a bad size. I think there's some more. There's another one under there. There's quite a few hidden fruits up underneath there. It's not easy to see them, so I think there's more up there. They seem to like to develop underneath in the shade, surprisingly. This pineapple guava here, again, doesn't seem to have set any fruits on it that I can obviously see. Bear in mind I've pollinated them all. That one is unique, so it's a shame that it doesn't appear to have set any fruits at all. However, the one next to it, which is Nikita, has got definitely fruit swelling on it, so it looks like my Nikita's going to produce a few fruits for me this year. Don't think it's a particularly large fruited variety, but any fruits at all would be completely welcome. It might well be that they're not fruiting well because they're in a bit of a shady position. Apologies for the vacuuming in the background. Morris, this one's a Morris Nigra. They tend to fruit when they get much bigger. This one's not big enough to fruit. And behind that I've got my apricot. That's looking nice and healthy. That is, I think, an early Moorpark, if I remember rightly. Yep, early Moorpark. That will fruit next year, or flower next year. More pineapple guavas to look at here. I think you can see this one's developing fruits nicely. This one is meant to be a Triumph. Seems to have not a large quantity of fruits on it, but it's definitely got fruits in it, so I'm going to have more Triumph fruits this year. The one next to it is a Mammoth, I believe. It's another Mammoth. Again, it's a little bit early days on this, but it looks likely to me that probably there will be some fruit set on it. This fruit, it flowered quite a lot later than my other Mammoth. Of course, there's always a possibility that the other varieties are mixed up and aren't what they're meant to be, but it does look as if this might have some fruit set on it. And the other pineapple guava I've got here is Gemini, and again this has to my mind a slightly more torpedo shaped fruit, but I think you can probably see there it is starting to develop some embryo fruits on it, so this is looking quite promising. It looks to me like I'm going to have quite a good harvest of perhaps 30 or 40 pineapple guavas of different sorts this year, so I will better do a comparison tasting. As I said, that one's Gemini, and the fruits, for my mind, are slightly more elongated cigar shaped fruit. Oh, and very quickly, which I was going to show, this is my grafted persimmon. This is a Fuyu that I've grafted on here. The other graft that came off the side completely failed, but at the moment, touch wood, this shoot looks fine and the plant's healthy. Let's remove that little sucker on because we don't want that taking energy away from it, but it's got two shoots on it, which is absolutely perfect, so I'm really pleased about that. This one is the one that failed, but it's sending up more suckers and side shoots, so I should probably better try grafting onto this again next year. Quick look at my in-ground fig tree. Still got plenty of Brabers on it. I've been harvesting figs almost every day. There's not many Brabers left now. However, I think you can probably see, sorry about the vacuum cleaner, I think you can probably see that this has got main crop figs on it, which due to the pinching I did are developing really nicely. I mean, they're probably getting on for 2 inches in size. Now on that basis, I think I could expect, there's a nice Braber there. I don't need to pick that because I've got several. See how big that is. I've got quite a few figs in the fridge still to eat, so I don't need to pick the other Brabers on this. But my main crop figs are really progressing nicely. Another Braber there, look how split that is. I'll have to pick that because it's so split. It's going to go, it'll go mouldy in all the rain we've been having. Let me just pull that off and we can have a live fruit picking. Once the skin splits like that, you know that they're ripe. Let me just pick that off for you. There we are, a live harvesting. Lovely fig, fabulous size. Don't know the variety, but absolutely perfect. And another Braber coming there that's nearly ready. But look at these main crop figs. The pinching has really worked. It's really forced the size into them. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that I'm going to get a good quantity of main crop figs on this if the weather's not horrendous for the whole of August and September. And I predict these will be ready about the 2nd week of October if all goes well. Blue sausage tree in a pot. My Japanese raisin tree badly needs repotting. I might even do that this afternoon as the weather looks like holding quite well. Basically, you know, all in all, quite good. I've got a few plants with issues with them. Oh, I forgot to mention up there as well. Look at my fabulous trumpet vine. It's absolutely putting on a stunning display, and of course next to it the buddleia as well. Sadly no butterflies on it, but that's the way of suburban areas now. I hope you can hear me over the vacuum cleaner. But all in all, few plants with issues, but on the whole most things are doing quite nicely, and we've managed to catch enough sun to be able to film everything for once. Anyway, thank you for watching the video, much appreciated. I hope there was something of interest in there during the video. Please subscribe to my channel, and there is a butterfly coming back. Makes me out alive. There's actually one butterfly and a couple of bees. Yeah, thanks for watching the video, much appreciated. Please give me a thumbs up. Welcome to share it if you think anybody would be interested. Please subscribe to my channel, and remember to click on the bell if you like updates on things like the persimmons and my other unusual fruits and how they progress over the next couple of months. And of course more figs to come. Thanks for watching. I'll catch up with you all in the next video. Brett out for now.